Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. Once more joining me are my co-hosts Dave and Jordan, and this podcast will be talking about comic book characters and just comic books in general, like comic series that we think deserve their own standalone movie or television series.
It's good to be back.
Yeah,
Some
it
kind
is.
of screen adaptation.
So we had a bit of a hiatus there for a bit due to an apocalyptic amount of snow.
If it wasn't for you guys' pictures hanging up in my living room, I don't know if I would have made it. So
Yeah.
I'd pretend like we were having podcasts. So.
Yeah. It's good to have that kind of
We'll say
dedication.
it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You know, I'd have
least,
the
at
the
least
lights
someone's
off.
practicing.
I'd have the lights off and the fire going.
I just drank myself into depression.
I did most of the talking.
Yeah.
But you guys were good listeners. So.
Well, you know, I try
Thanks
to
for
be.
playing along.
Yeah.
I try to be.
And if you gentlemen want to have any characters or series that pop in your heads,
Kick things off
to kick things
immediately?
off.
Yeah, get right into it.
All right. I'm going to start with a character that there's already been some talks. There's been a TV show maybe in development, and he's possibly already shown up on an episode of Constantine. I should probably go ahead and tell you who it is. Deadman. Boston Brand himself.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I know there's already been talks about Guillermo del Toro's Justice League Dark movie. She would be involved in. I'm not sure if I haven't watched the whole season of the Constantine show. I don't know if he showed up or not. I'd heard he was going to, but I don't know. I couldn't find if there was an actor or anything.
One of the
played him or
lesser
anything,
known
but,
DC
yeah, but
characters.
Really cool character if you look into him a little bit. I mean, he's virtually all powerful. Really,
Yeah.
he can possess the living. You know, when he's in his ghost form, he can do anything really.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that ties into Nana Parbat and Ra's al Ghul. You could insert him in other shows or other movies. I think it would work as both. If he could work as a movie, as a TV show.
Yeah.
You could put him into a movie. An already existing franchise or
Like
show.
the upcoming Justice League or
Yeah.
any one of the
Again,
DC cinematic
if they are
universe.
making that Justice League Dark movie, that obviously should be in that. But I think he's in the comics. He's played some major roles.
Yeah, like in Brightest Day.
Yep, he got the White Lantern ring.
Yeah.
I think he
Pretty pivotal character in that little series there. I'd like this. I think we can all agree. Batman Beyond. I think would be awesome.
I can't believe I didn't think.
Because the show was amazing, and it was
For something that doesn't sound that great on paper.
Exactly.
it was executed,
Execution
and
brilliantly.
egregiously canceled far too soon. Because it was like 2-3 seasons. 3, yeah.
It's one of those weird things where, a lot of times if show's not doing well, if the show's doing well, they'll order more. They'll order more episodes, and then if it's not doing well, they'll order less.
Wasn't it
sort of like
was it Pokemon that was like taking a lot of its they could never beat that in the ratings, or I remember reading something about it. It was during that time period, that 99.
I don't know if it would be Pokemon though, because they came on during different time slots. Because Pokemon usually.
I remember reading something about with their competition, but
could have been.
I don't remember who was in that time slot.
Well, even if it's on the same network too, I guess they would kind of look at it. Well, this show is greatly outperforming.
I just remember it's been a while. I remember reading why it got canceled.
I think the first season
soon
was
after
14, 15 episodes. The second season, 22
Yeah.
episodes.
Like almost
Last
doubled.
season was 13.
Yeah.
Which is strange. But I know, animated series, the episodes per season is
different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Batman
Plus
Beyond.
back then, most shows they did more episodes per season of anything.
But a great
it would be
concept
awesome.
for whether they adapt it to a live action series or just a standalone movie.
I think a movie would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The movie would fit,
And it could still go with the DC cinematic universe without conflicting.
It's the future.
Yeah.
Let's do it in 20 years when Christian Bale's old.
Yeah.
Old Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Yeah.
would still be too old to play the part.
Jordan,
I'll go along with, since we mentioned DC people, I'll mention a DC person.
This has been a pretty circular DC
Nice little
track.
lead off. I'm gonna go with Nightwing for my DC.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of characters, not just their own standalone characters, but characters involved in other series.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well
obviously
established
he
series that we haven't
was
seen.
Robin, so if you want to count Chris O'Donnell,
And we haven't seen a Robin
technically,
since.
but we have never seen
Venom.
Nightwing. So
Yeah.
I've always thought he kind of makes up for Robin's uncoolness, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Which a lot of people don't know, Nightwing was originally a Superman thing. It was a Kryptonian hero, like a myth.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Dick Grayson sort of got the Nightwing persona. He sort of took that over.
Yeah, I thought I've read some when
it was
New
a really
52
cool
came
character.
out with Nightwing. I thought it was a really good start, and I've read
Kyle Higgins.
some of the older Nightwing.
Yeah, I even loved. I mean, just the character of Dick Grayson is great.
Yeah,
I even loved.
I've always liked Dick Grayson.
I really loved when he, Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin when he was
Yes.
Batman.
I'd like to see that too. I don't think they'd ever
the
do
movies,
it.
they're not gonna.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it. And I don't.
Especially since DC's not as
The only way
adventurous
I could
that
even
way.
see them doing that is just like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of other Robins, Red Hood.
Yeah, that was actually on my list.
Jason Todd.
Like either Red Hood, like cause I've been reading
There's
the
not
New
a ton
52.
of Red too. Yeah, that's probably the most,
Red Hood and the Outlaws, which I think is a fantastic
There's
series.
not a lot of like standalone Red Hood stuff.
No.
There's like the Lost Judd Winnick's Red Hood Lost kind of an origin.
Yeah.
And then he pops up here and there within the comics. But
I think really only recently he's had like his
own
standalone
series.
Yeah. And again, Red Hood and the Outlaws, I'd recommend reading it. Even if you're not a huge comic book fan, go for it. Great series.
I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
There's so many good stories and characters you could use it within the Bat family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Again, you can
It's
tie
so
it
big.
into. Yeah, you can just tie it into so many different things.
Batgirl. Out
Yeah,
there,
I was
so
going to say
52
Batgirl, even Batwoman.
Yeah.
She's a detective. I think it'd be a good movie. Like more,
Like,
she's more into the police world,
Yeah.
the cop world, than some of the
which I
other
think
characters.
would I guess more easily translates to television.
Yeah.
There's a lot of television is
Kinda
the
like
cop
Gotham
world.
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. You kind of going. Don't get me started on that.
Yes,
but,
just simmer down.
but I guess well we're still on the Bat family.
But you got to put Batwoman on like HBO or Showtime, since
Yeah, please.
I'm all for it.
don't put it on cable.
Lesbian
'Cause-
thing?
Yeah, that's
Well, they got away with it on Arrow. Kind of. Yeah. But Catwoman to go on that same track. But it's, Ed Brubaker's Catwoman was really good.
So I think we can all kind of just
Selena.
Even
you
the
know,
New 52 when after that just awful abortion of a movie with Halle Berry,
yeah,
I think the character deserves a little bit more.
yeah,
than that.
definitely.
Michelle Pfeiffer deserves more in life.
I guess
she was fine. The whole movie was silly.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
And I like Dan Hathaway too.
Yeah, I thought she did.
But she wasn't really.
Yeah,
Catwoman.
I don't know how she would do in a standalone, but
Yeah, I think it'd just be.
I think she was fine
Yeah.
she was fine for Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think Magneto would be a great because I know there was talks for a while, like when they were thinking about doing the origin stories.
Standalone.
But they, I guess,
McKellen.
kind of scrapped that with X-Men Origins, which I kind of get that, but at the same time, like have like an don't even do an origin on Magneto, but just like, I guess like after, I guess like the origin before First Class, because in First Class like there was the scene where he was like basically hunting down like the Nazis who.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Just Magneto hunting down Nazis.
Nazi.
That's a pretty cool premise in of itself.
Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. And maybe have some other mutants involved. So that way it's not just him being ridiculously overpowered. But also Magneto's just such a cool character.
Yeah. Well, also like the Bat family, there's a lot of good extra
Trying to
characters.
get to Marvel, you're just dragging us back.
Yeah, there's a lot of good because we don't give DC enough love.
No, we really don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, X-Men's got such a huge variety of characters.
Yeah, they could easily have a standalone TV series.
If they weren't already making it, like if we
wish
did this podcast a few years back, I definitely would have said Deadpool.
Yeah.
But we all know he's getting his own film now.
Possibly
I
an
love
X-Force
Deadpool.
movie as well, which a lot of those.
Well, there's
really
a
good.
lot of characters within X-Men.
But Magneto is definitely on my top of my list for the X-Men characters. And I guess also with Marvel, one of the lesser known ones, which admittedly I don't know, I'm not well versed on the character, but I think it's a cool idea, is Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of crazy.
He's multiple personalities.
Yeah, so like that would be a completely different approach to superheroes, because normally they're pretty stable, they know what they're doing, but he's kind of a wild card.
They've gone darker.
Yeah.
DC's definitely gone a lot darker than Marvel.
Yeah. But, look up Moon Knight. He's a very interesting character. But, yeah, he's not mentally all there. Cool so that alone could be interesting, just him dealing with the multiple personalities.
And that's a whole show in itself,
Yeah.
Isn't that Homeland? Carries multiple personalities or schizophrenic or something?
Yeah.
Is that the whole thing about Homeland? It's basically the superhero.
I've seen like 2
Homeland.
episodes.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't really get into it.
Another Marvel character.
It's well done. It's a well done show.
Yeah.
Just
Showtime. You know what you're doing. Marvel character I like. I've mentioned before. Just as a character I've liked as a Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be be a movie or a show.
Comic audience would probably be. What are they trying to pass off as Green Goblin this time?
Why did Green Goblin turn orange?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, for a movie. I don't know.
I just think he's a cool character. I would like to see him out there somewhere.
Maybe like a mini series.
Ben Kingsley.
Almost like that comic.
Yeah.
That comic book run he had.
But for that to work, you'd have to have the whole backstory.
Oh, of course.
Too, but it would be a cool.
Just
Spider-Man villains that they
haven't
exploited.
8 to 10 episode season just on Hobgoblin.
Yeah. But
something like I could easily work for Netflix.
Yeah. But speaking of like comic book villains, another one that's rumored to have their own standalone movie is Venom, which I haven't heard anything else on. It's just kind of like, oh, here's some updates on a possible Venom movie, but it's like not really anything solid, like casting or directing or even the story.
Even Eddie Brock, too.
Yeah,
I prefer Flash.
I think for a movie or TV, it would work. I mean, definitely that Venom series that ended a year-ish ago or whatever.
Or Topher Grace, man. I don't care.
No.
Whatever.
No.
I was a little skeptical initially of Flash Thompson being Venom, but having read some of that, definitely turned me around.
Yeah, it's a lot better than I expected it to be.
He was Spider-Man's biggest fan. He beat up Spider-Man in high school.
Yeah.
He's a war vet. He lost his legs. It's very complex. Abusive father.
Also thought Scarlet Spider was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you ever
Kane.
Kane.
The failed Parker clone.
Yes. I think that would make for a good show, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Then I guess like some other. Well, first I'll cover one more DC before we kind of do, I guess, some other non-superheroes. One thing that I think would just be interesting. I guess they don't even necessarily have to make a movie, but just like something about like Lex Luthor, because he's kind of a cool character because he isn't inherently evil. He's kind of just looking out for the greater good. Because it does make sense not to trust Superman because he's so
super.
It's like how can we trust this guy? He could snap at any minute.
Everything.
We've got nothing against him. We could shoot a nuke at him, and he just
sort of brings me into
dust himself off. And
something I like to see an adaptation of Mark Waid's Irredeemable, which is basically exactly that.
Yeah.
What if Superman just got sick of it all one day and just
what if Superman snapped?
But just kind of like
really is the premise of it.
I guess like the story told from Lex's perspective, which I think could be really interesting.
They kind of not quite, but they got a lot more into that in Smallville.
Yeah.
At least I stopped watching it after like the show was on forever.
Yeah.
But at least when I saw, and I like Michael Rosenbaum, which he also voices. I believe he's done a lot of voice acting work too with like Justice League.
Yeah.
He was Flash. He's and it's some of the movies and stuff too. But it's also When It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, fantastic show.
Also a show that's been on forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean they get into that a bit more in Smallville. It's his backstory and like the stuff with his father and all that. But I think you could definitely do a series.
Yeah.
Just about Lex.
Yeah, I mean, not like anything
from
too.
his, or a movie just from his perspective.
I could see a series
interesting.
working a bit better because I feel like a movie that's harder to pitch.
Yeah, for the movie you gotta have the big.
Or maybe like even
Stuff, but
have like a
series, you can
Legion,
be more
like a Legion of
methodical.
Doom movie to kind of like go
I
with the
think
Justice
you'd have
League.
to pitch it, you'd have to have.
Um,
So who are all the like superpowered people with him? No, it's just Lex Luthor.
yeah,
It's just a man.
but I don't
Just
know.
Kevin Spacey.
It's just Kevin Spacey.
Then also I think we can all agree that like Why the Last Man would make a fantastic. I'd prefer a series
development hell for
over a movie.
forever.
Personally, just because I feel like they could really flesh out the story, the characters a lot better
Yeah,
than.
if they don't, I think it could do a really good like trilogy.
Yeah.
But the only problem with the series,
Yeah, I would be. It's such a good
If it
series.
gets
I
so
would be
popular,
afraid
they're gonna
that he
drag
wouldn't
it
do it
out.
justice.
Yeah,
though.
they're gonna drag it out forever and kind of ruin it. I mean,
Well,
obviously, it couldn't ruin the source
yeah.
material. But
No.
Looking
'cause
through just Vertigo, that whole series.
Vertigo's got a
Brand.
plethora.
Preacher would be awesome. Which
they're
Which
working
they're-
on it.
yeah,
yeah.
they're working on that TV
Seth
show.
Rogen is working on it.
Yeah,
We've already
but
got
Preacher's.
Yeah,
I can see where Rogan comes in with that.
Yeah.
yeah, moved
But yeah, Preacher would be
the
awesome.
Hellblazer a lot recently, which I know they
Yeah.
got the Constantine show, which
Yeah.
is I think it's good for NBC. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the criticism that it's getting, that's like, well, it's on network TV.
Yeah, I got a little.
It should really be on like Showtime or at least
There's a few
AMC
episodes I was
or
watching. I was just kind of
something.
bored
I
with
like
it.
yeah, but it's.
But
I mean,
it
the
is
guy
NBC,
playing,
you
The
know.
guy playing him, I thought was great.
Oh
but
yeah,
everything else is like, yeah. I mean, you gotta.
it's not the acting.
You gotta look at where it is. Like I thought it was gonna be horrible
Mhm.
just because it's on NBC.
Yeah.
We know
For a
drama.
network show,
Makes do.
yeah, it should really be on a cable FX or something. I think
Yeah.
would be really good.
Preacher's
good
AMC, right?
adaptation of
Yep.
that.
I think 2016. I want to say.
There's a lot of Vertigo series just like
Yeah.
that I haven't gotten to reading yet. But
lot of-
it's
yeah, I
like
mean,
Sandman.
I think it
Those
could be-
were highly regarded,
A
and
lot of Neil Gaiman stuff.
Yeah.
He's great. I mean, and not only his comics, but his novels as well. Reading American Gods right now, and enjoying it quite a bit.
Other comic series.
That's another Brian K. Vaughan one. I think it can make a really good,
Yeah.
probably a trilogy of movies out of Ex Machina.
Yeah. Which Brian K.
Another
Vaughan,
amazing-
fantastic
Yeah,
writer.
great.
I mean, he's already in. He's in the TV world. He's
Written for
pretty
Lost.
sure he's written or worked on scripts for both Y and
Yeah.
Ex Machina, but it's not. Nothing's really
Yeah.
happening with it.
Um.
And if Shia LaBeouf is still attached to Y, I'm
No.
okay with it not being made.
Yeah.
yeah.
But another comic series, I think I'm the only one that's read it so far, is Lock and Key, which is a really
The
cool.
only person who's ever read it.
Yeah, ever.
I always see it at the comic shop, and it looks really cool.
It is
I just
amazing.
Never, I
It
just haven't
is-
picked it up.
It's been recommended to me for a while. But
Which now you can start.
How
so
many
it's
volumes
recently-
are there?
I'm going to.
There
very
are
soon.
8 or 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's just a really.
I'm gonna get around to
I
it.
think it's a pretty original concept, and really brilliant storytelling and artwork and everything.
Give us a couple sentence overview. If you're teaching our
essentially-
listeners.
Essentially, it
We're all learning
revolves
together,
around
yes.
the
Crisscross
Locke
applesauce.
family, who are this family from Massachusetts. I forget the exact town or whatever.
Kennedy's?
No, not the Kennedys. It's outside Boston. For the life of me, can't remember the name of it, but little community they live in.
Salem.
But basically, it's not Salem.
Is it an actual town or is it just?
I think so. I think it's a real town. But basically, it centers around the Locke family, and their
Hyannisport?
patriarch died, so they go back to their family home to kind of escape, the death of their father and stuff like that, and kind of be back with family. But it turns out the Locke home has these magical keys, hence the name Lock and Key. And different keys do different things. Like there's
So it's
one.
not like a buddy cop thing.
It isn't.
It's disappointing.
Like for example, one key.
I was really hoping that'd be on USA.
You stick in the back of your head, and you can open up your head and see all your memories and all your thoughts.
Okay. That's
You can actually pick thoughts out.
Now that
Cerebral
picture makes
on
sense.
the
Yeah.
side.
If you wanted to learn everything there's to know about geography, put a book of geography in your head. Boom. And
It's the superpower I want.
yeah, there's again tons of different keys. Each one does a different thing. Like there's the giant key, which makes you a giant. So yeah, really really interesting concept. And it's
I mean,
played
just from
off.
that, it sounds like you could do
Yeah, so much with
a
it.
lot, you could do a whole, 9 seasons of that.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's just got like different, different things in the story to where it appeals to a huge audience. It's got
really
like mystery, suspense. It's got a little bit of comedy in there. Kind of lighthearted, take the ease off the
Need it every
suspense
now and
going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've read all of the volumes and pretty much binge read like volume 3 to the finish, just because volume 3 is what really I was just like, oh my god, I was just like binge reading all the volumes, and I think I finished all of them in like 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I went through with Irredeemable.
Yeah. The same with Why the Last Man. Like when I started reading that, I think in like a week I finished all the volumes.
Yeah, I did that Next Machina pretty fast.
Yeah.
Another thing I just thought of, an Image series, which I really like for the comic to come back as well, Witch Doctor.
Yeah, Witch Doctor. That is
very,
such a
very
good
cool,
series.
which initially just the artwork.
It's been so long. It's been like 4 years since,
They don't
since
have.
I read
It
it.
sucks. They don't have the money. Like they can't. They just.
If
They're working on other stuff.
If
They
we
don't
get
have
the
time.
money for this from this
That got me.
podcast,
Yeah.
it's
Witch
going
Doctor.
all to get Witch Doctor
Originally,
back
it was
going.
in the back of an issue
Hashtag
of
bring
Walking
Witch Doctor
Dead.
back.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Now
On
that we're on
Twitter.
Twitter, we can get that
Like,
going.
for those of you who are watching this, do yourself a favor, do us a favor, read Witch
There's
Doctor.
only like
5,
Wasn't
6
many.
issues?
there was the issue 0 in the back of Walking Dead, which originally just the amazing artwork on there.
Yeah.
Is what
I'm going to read that
attracted me
again
to
now that you just
And then
mentioned it.
you
I
read it.
forgot.
I think you actually still have mine.
I did, yeah. Yeah.
Just
I'm the only one who actually bought
We're
it.
still on.
But
Well, yeah.
Okay.
you can probably find the trade somewhere. I think there's only one because there were 2 miniseries basically. There was the 0 issue, and I think it was a 5 or 6 issues.
Yeah, I remember
5 or 6
that
issues.
And then there was the Resuscitation, I think, which was also 5 or 6 issues. So there's
Probably 2 trades.
2 trades under 15 issues.
I returned
maybe
the issues
total.
that I read. 'Cause
I know,
You
I
gave them to
remember
me
that.
at work.
Yep,
And they
you
got me
came
through some good days.
You came into my work to give them back.
We won't
It's
mention
later in
we won't
life.
mention our the jobs at the time.
Their jobs
They're
don't
pretty
have
fancy,
anymore,
though.
thankfully.
They're I didn't want to
I'm
brag.
gonna
I didn't want
just,
to brag.
I'll be honest, mine wasn't fancy.
I was working at Winn-Dixie.
I was working at
I really
another place similar to Winn-Dixie.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought up Witch Doctor, because that is a...
Really, yeah, but just reading
You know.
it too, it's the lead doctor character is sort of based on Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Which you can kind of tell, like, when you're reading the dialogue.
So we already have casting.
Yeah. Just like the writing is
It's
spectacular.
witty and just it's a
Who
really
was the author?
Brandon Seifert, I believe.
Nice. Look at
Yeah.
you, man.
Yeah, I had to take a second.
You're digging deep, man.
Lucas,
You're MVP
someone
of this
is the
podcast.
artist.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this series. I mean, it's a really cool blend of supernatural horror
And dark
stuff,
comedy.
dark
Yeah.
comedy, and medical. Like it's a medical supernatural drama.
Yeah.
I
I
like
think
the whole.
Forget ER.
Yeah, I like how the whole scientific aspect to
Forget
it.
Grey's Anatomy. This is
Yeah.
Witch Doctor.
I think probably one of my favorite
Exactly.
parts in the
There's a shot
series
that's been on
is
forever, too.
he's trying to cut through like this swamp monster, and he's like, I think he's using like just a normal medical drill or bone drill or something. It's not cutting through the skin, so he's like, all right. He asks his assistant, he's like, all right, hand me a scalpel. And then the next panel, he hands him the sword. He's like, oh, Excalibur, this will work. Yeah.
Sword.
I just love that like scene. 'Cause you're like, oh, okay, well, he was probably just gonna use a regular scalpel or something. No, Excalibur, this magical sword, and just slices it right open.
Penny Dreadful.
Yeah, Penny
Not
Dreadful.
the show.
Yeah.
His
Assistant,
other assistant.
who's
Some sort
yeah,
of monster.
I'm not
little
entirely
red-riding
sure,
hood
but it
monster.
yeah, I like her character too for the little, I guess, dialogue she has. It's kind of comical.
Another older series I haven't read in several years. Kind of caught me by surprise when I first picked it up. Was Animal Man.
I haven't read a ton of it,
was-
man, but
It was pretty good. I don't know
That's,
how they would, if they would make it into a movie or a show, but I always thought that was a cool character.
yeah, I always thought Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I was gonna
was
say
pretty
Swamp Thing.
cool.
Swamp Thing and
There's-
Animal Man kind of
Yeah, they're
kind of
sort
go
of
together.
sharing
So
universe, which I know New 52 kind of brought them over from Vertigo.
you could definitely have a lot of
Constantine.
episodes with them together, kind of like Flash and Arrow.
Yeah.
But
You want to do that for those two
yeah,
shows? And then
but
the big crossovers.
I thought
with
Animal
them.
Man was pretty cool from what I read. And it was just when I was looking up some older characters.
Yeah,
that caught my eye.
it's also one of those that, on the surface sort of sounds dumb. Like
It does. That's
Yeah.
why I
Has
never really.
animal
That's why I never
powers.
picked it up.
yeah, I think it's just another proof, the right.
Don't
You know,
judge
the
a
writers-
comic by its cover.
Yeah. Within the right hands,
Well,
something
a lot of
is.
times I do.
I know, even though I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Because the artwork is a big part.
Yeah,
Of it.
Yeah.
that was the joke.
I had to go ruin it. I apologize.
But it does kind of show
We can
that,
cut
like,
that out.
within the right hands, a writer can make something as ridiculous as, again, something like Ant-Man, from that first issue and make it work, or Aquaman, the way that Jeff
Yes.
Johns does in the New 52 Aquaman, and
Jeff
just
Johns is just awesome.
yeah, like put that man in charge of anything, it's gonna be good. But Saga, which I think again I'm the only one that's read it so
Brian
far,
K. Vaughan one?
except
The only person
Jordan will
ever?
be starting it
Yes.
soon, as I gifted
my
it to
homework
him.
assignment.
Yes,
Thank you for that.
it's kind of like
you on the air. Thank you off.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking you on the air too.
But fantastic series, another series by Brian K. Vaughan, who another one of those
wanting
people
to read it
where
'cause he's one of those writers. Just anything.
pretty much anything he's
From
involved
him,
in.
I'll go for it.
But it's kind of it's a lot like Star Wars in the sense that it takes place in like this galactic universe, a bit more adult because it's got like a lot more violent and it's got like a lot more swearing, but it's also again comical. A lot like a lot of Brian K. Vaughan stuff. It's got its serious kind of more actiony scenes and then comedy kind of like little jokes and quips here and there.
It
So
relates
sort
well
of,
to
yeah.
our age group
Yeah.
right now. Like, if I would have read that in high school, I don't know how much I would have liked it.
Liked it as much.
I mean, I would have liked it. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
it appeals more to the older.
yeah.
Yeah,
audience, I think.
yeah. Oh, definitely.
But
it's
they're
more
actually like
cerebral.
parts where
Yeah.
I'd be reading like Saga, like maybe like right after someone a fight or something like that. Someone says like a nice little one liner, and I'm actually like kind of chuckling like that was good.
I'm actually LOLing
yeah
out loud for once.
It doesn't happen often, but
yeah
I didn't raffle, but I lolled.
yeah
yeah, I think seriously, especially again back to YNX Machina, really shows what the medium can be. It's not
Yeah.
just
superheroes.
superheroes or kind of silly stuff, over the top stuff. This is stuff that makes you think.
Yeah.
Some life changing
think,
books out there.
And I know
Yeah,
I haven't
people
read it
don't
yet,
give
but
it a
just
chance,
from
but,
what you've told me about Chew, that's a really interesting
Yeah,
concept.
it's it's definitely funny. It's basically a sort of alternate near future where chicken is outlawed.
Yeah,
So you've got the FDA, like, with guns and doing raids and on this, chicken substitute and, trying to catch all these people. It sounds really dumb, but it's pretty interesting. It's pretty comical. Like the art style. I think the art style kind of fits perfectly with just the whole tone of the book, really. It's kind of wacky and weird, but it's a
Works.
fun, interesting read. Yeah, like, give it a chance.
I mean, the concept alone, I think, as odd as it
Chicken
sounds,
is outlawed.
it's one of those things where it's like, this is too weird for me to not read.
Yeah, the FDA is pretty much, this, I guess what the FBI is or used to be,
Yeah.
Hunting down these big chicken cartels and whatnot, kind of stuff like that. Yeah, again, as I'm describing it to
chicken-
myself, it
chicken
sounds
from Family
dumb,
Guy?
but- No, that hasn't come up yet, at least
okay.
in as much as I've read of it. Unfortunately, it's another Image series if we're
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
again, I think
flooding the publisher.
I also, as we've mentioned, throughout this
I
episode,
don't know. Yeah, but I don't. To keep it the theme of
Image
this
and
episode,
Image and Vertigo, like there's so many.
I don't know that Chew would really translate that on the screen. Or,
I just think it's a
still
cool
the-
concept.
yeah.
Though. I feel like we need to bring light to
oh, yeah,
that.
certainly an underrated thing that did actually remind me of another Image series. Ed Brubaker, writer. I'm a big fan of more recent series Fatal that I just started reading. Really good. I could easily see that translating.
These
to
could be just a lot.
Yes,
There's so many
TV
with these
series,
volumes.
but
Yeah, there's so many. You could be TV series, like as we've said before, that aren't just superheroes.
Yeah.
you know?
really good crime series, basically about this woman who doesn't age. It's sort of it starts out at funeral, this writer's funeral, and then his let's say his stepson, I believe, some kind of related. I don't think they're biologically related, but he's trying to put together the pieces, and he runs into this woman, but then he finds this picture. Is that the same person? And he finds this manuscript for this book that the author had never published, and you kind of, it goes back and forth in time. He's trying to put all the pieces together.
What's the name of this again?
Fatal.
How old is it?
Not that old.
Okay.
It's pretty past I want to say 2 or 3 years.
It's still pretty.
Maybe not even that long.
Pretty recent.
Yeah, I mean anything by Ed Brubaker that I've read has been great. So, but I thought that was just kind of returning to his roots of the crime,
crime genre.
Just crime, police sort of procedural type of thing. But it's that, but it's horror as well, and
kind of supernatural. Sounding.
Yeah, I mean there's a cult element, and you get these bits and pieces of how this woman came to not age. It's sort of it's one of those things.
Already sounds like a TV show.
Yeah.
Basically real, true to life, except for one little element. They throw one little supernatural element in there, and then that kind of opens.
She
up
can fly.
Yeah, it opens up a can of worms. But I think those things are kind of interesting too, where it's just like
puts it within the realm of possibility.
The one person who. What if one person could fly?
Yeah.
Sort of type of thing. But
any other ideas before we wrap this up, gentlemen?
Well, there's so many. One character I like that I'll kind of end with. For me, he's already had 2 movies himself, but I just don't think he's had any justice yet. It was Punisher.
Yes, I completely agree. Like if they could just kind of,
he's so cool.
I feel like it wouldn't work that well now that Disney has Marvel, which we kind of discussed in our Marvel. He's
podcast. More along those lines of like the Vertigo type characters.
Which I did really like. Garth Ennis, the writer of Preacher, did I've only read the first volume, but that first volume I was just like, oh my god, I need to have every volume that he's ever done on Punisher, because it was so. It's
gritty, man.
Yeah, it's how Punisher needs to be.
Yeah, that's.
But again, with Garth Ennis, it's got this kind of gritty tone, but also, comedy to it too. Like not like stand-up comedy, but just
sort of dark, black
humor. That black
Punisher's
humor.
Always been that dude. He's been that character. Your parents don't want you to read.
Yeah, but that's what makes him such a cool.
Yeah. Just read Archie.
Such a cool hero.
He's the heavy metal guy out there.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, if Marvel could somehow work
now, I just don't know, but
it
would have been cool if because he's had 2 movies and he just.
But they didn't really do him justice.
The first one was all right.
Didn't actually see it, so I can't say.
Second one, I just feel he's.
The second one was more onto the character.
He doesn't deserve what's been displayed of him.
No.
That's what I feel about Daredevil.
Yeah,
so
I would have said him if
we'll see about the show.
Didn't have the Netflix.
Yeah. But that's
maybe
another
in a
thing.
year we'll feel differently about that. But
that's kind of my last.
Yeah, I think that's a good
one to end on. I think.
Yeah. So hopefully you all agreed with our list, I guess, of characters and comics. Feel free to
add your own,
or whether you disagree or agree with our list of characters and comic series.
Probably have to ask one of our upcoming guests. If we get him on.
Hopefully we can get him on.
Heard we've
heard from their people to their people to their people.
Kind of inspired what would eventually make them famous.
Yeah, so, but
won't get into that too much. But we just want to let you guys know.
But it's been brewing for a few months.
Some things
we feel excited about the progress we've made.
Yeah, and for those of you who are wondering who this is, keep up with the channel, like our Facebook page, Paceville Productions, Twitter.
We won't release the interview. We may interview this person, but we won't release it until we get a certain amount of likes. How about that?
Yeah. If we can get
so
3 subscribers.
So this interview may never get released.
It's possibly 4 people too, but it might be hard to get them all together. So maybe we get up to 50 subscribers.
We've got at least
one.
Yeah, we might have. We'll at least have 2, I think.
At least 2,
probably.
maybe.
I just want to have a nice even 40 subscribers by the time we do the interview. I think that's
I
reasonable.
think it's doable. Yeah.
It's all up to you guys. We
yeah.
won't even tell you who it is.
No.
No.
You can please make your guesses and.
Yeah.
Who do you think our famous guests are going to be?
Yeah. It will blow your mind.
Some of you probably won't care, but most of you, I think.
The diehards that's been with us since the beginning. Yeah. You'll care. You'll create new, like.
I think we'll get new
YouTube
followers from this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps this up. So until next time, cheers.